I'm Dan Roshan, and I am really pleased today to be joined with three awesome real estate agents here in the area. And soon to be number 4 is going to be joining us. He's having a little bit of internet challenges. We'll tell you about Rob here in a second. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to Chris Craddock, Sven Skarie, and Dilara Wentz, and Rob Chevez will be with us shortly. Chris, let's start off with you. You want to tell us who you are and just a little background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. It's just a quick 2-minute version. Grew up here my whole life. Was on staff with an organization called Young Life. Had to flip houses because didn't make any money there, but I loved doing it. And just through that process, ended up, reading Gary Keller's MREA book. Started building a real estate team. I guess it was 2014, December 2014, when we still really started building that out. And we've just been so blessed to be in business with some of the greatest folks ever. And last year we did 409 transactions.
He's a slacker. 409 transactions. Congratulations, Chris. That's just so damn impressive, man. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. And Sven, hello, Sven. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks, Dan. So I've been in real estate since 2012, full time. Joined my stepdad here at Long & Foster in College Park, Maryland, right outside DC. We did, 40 some deals last year. I took over in 2018, so it's my team, my business now. It's kind of exciting to take the ship and run with it. I'm excited.
Great. Dilara, hello. And thank you, Sven. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi. So I'm Dilara Wentz. I got my license in 2018, just finished my first fiscal year out at just under 10 million. I'm the owner and operator of the Valiant Group now. We just started. I have a buyer's agent now as well. So we're really excited about that. And we are about 100% referral based. So
100% referral base. That's fantastic. Dilara, I'm honored that you joined us today. Rob, hello, sir.
What's up, man? I had to go to my phone. For some reason, my iPad is wonky, not working.
Rob just wanted to make like a glorious, fashionable entrance. He wanted to make a splash when he joined us.
That's right. Cool.
Tell us who you are, Rob.
I'm Rob Chevez. I'm the CEO of the Casa Group. I have the honor and privilege of leading our troops through this awesome time. And I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to talk about this market and what we're going to do to become victorious at the end.
And I'm excited that you joined us. And so for those of you that are joining us today, watching us, so what we're going to do today is have a conversation about where we are. I know a lot of you may have some fear. You're certainly experiencing something today different than what you experienced 3-4 weeks ago. We want to be able to address that, and we want to be able to talk about what's over the horizon in regards to real estate sales and what would be. So we've got a short-term challenge that we're all experiencing, and we're going to talk about what these great people are doing to be able to deal with those challenges. And then once we get past that, there's going to be a new normal in real estate sales just in general, and what we're doing to be able to prepare that. So my name's Dan Roshan, and I'm going to be your facilitator today, and I want to go ahead and jump in. So we'll do ladies first. So Dilara, oh man,
Somebody's already been talking and saying volume. What's that mean? Is that business or?
All right, Dilara. So tell us, what do you see in the obstacles? What do you see in the marketplace right now as obstacles, like for today?
So right now, a lot of our business is military. So we've been having an issue with the fact that everybody's orders are getting pushed. Everybody's on a travel hold. So a lot of people's orders are, were for April and May, and now they're getting pushed back to June and July. So that's one of our things. The other thing too is we get out in front of people. So like I sit at Starbucks and stuff. Now I can't do that. So that's not really a form of lead gen for me at the moment.
So you have a lot of personal one-on-one interaction, a lot of physical interaction with, people face to face.
Yes.
And so, okay, so that's your challenges, and we're going to talk later about what you're doing to overcome those challenges. Mm-hmm. Chris, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. I can still hear you. For all good. My screen seems to be lagging a little bit, but I can hear you.
All right, this is like a bad 1980s movie, but we're good. Go for it, man. So what do you see as the obstacles from your perspective? What do you see as the obstacles that you're experiencing right now, you and your team members?
Yeah, so the crazy thing is it's still been pretty good for us over the last couple of weeks. I mean, last week we actually had one of our biggest weeks we've had, which was really crazy. But I think a lot of sellers are still very motivated and there's still very low inventory, so that's still good. I guess the biggest obstacle is just to keep the morale of all the troops up, keep everybody excited. It's really, really hard when you don't know what the next step is. And actually, I'll just say this. I shared this, actually, Rob and I were hanging out, and I shared this with Rob. It actually really spoke to my heart deeply, when I've got a little girl, so we were watching the Frozen 2 movie that just came out. And I thought it was just so crazy that the whole theme behind the Frozen 2 movie was the world is in chaos. Everything's crazy. Don't know what the next thing to do is. So let's just take the next right step. And so honestly, that's just what we just keep going back to is I don't know what next week's going to look like. Frankly, the news changes every hour about what it's going to look like in the next month. So our whole thing is, I don't know what that is. So let's just take the next right step. Whatever that is, let's do the next right thing. So that's just what we're trying to figure out and just kind of keep everybody up for doing that. And it's hard when you don't see the finish line to take that next step, but just keeping everybody doing the next best thing that they can do.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris, for sharing that. I'm having to reconcile the audio and the video here. So what I heard you say is really to take the next right step, and that we don't necessarily even know where the finish line is yet. We can go forward with blind faith. Is that help to summarize what I heard you say?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really insightful. Thank you, Chris. Sven, hello.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, I have a similar approach to Chris. And so, I mean, managing the expectation of the people who raise their hand and say, I still want to buy a house, or a seller who can't do open houses or is scared to do showings. So the obstacle, comes to how do you help people who, have a fear around this? And, doing the virtual open house thing or the sort of just assist them with the management of what kind of steps they can take. And I kind of just do, again, like Chris said, just the next step in the business of like responding to people and being in communication with people.
So just being in communication, responding to people and taking the next step. That's awesome, Sven. Thank you. Mr. Chevez. What obstacles are you seeing in our market?
I think the biggest obstacle is what Chris talked about, is making sure that people understand that they should not be frozen at this moment in time, that you got to move forward, that that this isn't a snow day. Ben Kinney would be like, this isn't a snow day, right? This is the time to really move forward and take action. And so we've been taking steps with that every single day to make sure that we're getting our mind in the right place, that we're all coming together, making our calls together in an environment like this, and helping each other move forward. And we're reaching out to everybody. We're reaching out to all our past clients, our current clients, and just saying, how can we help? How can we serve? Right? And staying in front of people during this time. So, but the biggest obstacle is just making sure that we don't leave anybody behind in that process. I mean, we ratified 11 contracts last week, and so it was a good week. And yet, I see our activity levels come down, our appointment levels come down, and I don't want to see that, because I know that means, I know what that means 30 days from now, 60 days from now. So we're working on everybody increasing their activity to keep that appointment count moving during this time, right? So that's it. Momentum, energy.
Momentum, energy. So Rob and Chris, you two have large teams in large organizations. And so what I heard both of you say was that you haven't been impacted yet. I'm curious, but I heard a little bit from Rob is that the concern is about the leading factors and staying inside that leading factors, because the concern is not necessarily, from what I heard from both of you, isn't exactly today. It's like, okay, what's the lagging factor of 45 days from now, 90 days from now? Is that, am I understanding that correctly from each of you? Chris?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing right now. I mean, we had, like I said, just a massive week last week, just like Rob, we had a massive week. And I think it's because of all the work that we put in, 60, 90 days ago. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. And so my biggest thing is, right now, I mean, I wrote that down. I love, this isn't a snow day. And actually it was really great because I have been pounding my team so hard on that in our morning huddles. And so much so that one of my agents got off the phone or called me an hour or two later. They're like, she was just like, Chris, do you think we're not working? And I was like, no, I just want to make sure that everybody gets it. And she's like, I feel like I'm working as hard, if not harder, than what I was doing before. And honestly, I think that that's part of the reason why we're doing well, is because a lot of them are doing a great job with that, just keeping it going. But yeah, that's been the big key there.
Thanks, Chris. And Rob, do I understand that the same from you as well in regards to the perspective of, hey, we're good today, I'm concerned about 45, 90 days from now?
Yep. We track everything. We track number of appointments, and I could see the appointment number go down over the last week and a half, and that concerns me, right? So
sure.
we have to make sure that we're keeping the energy and the mindset for our team for the long haul. And like Chris said, I heard my ISA today saying, like, I'm working harder than I worked before, right? And so what's been cool, though, that we've done is that we've had everybody join on a Zoom call. And so we're all making calls together with the volume low. And so you could see, well, a couple things. One, you could see who's on the call and the people that are showing up and the people that are not showing up. Like, I'm not making it mandatory because there's a lot of chaos in people's lives. They got kids. But I am highly encouraging everybody to be on there, because energy creates momentum. Momentum creates more energy, and that you just got to keep that going. And so I'm heavily focused on keeping that going for our team, for myself, so that we could power through this 60, 90 days from now.
Thanks, Rob. That's awesome.
I'll throw one last thing out too as well. So this was what I was talking about yesterday with our team as well. Like, everybody has the same goals. We all want to win, right? The problem is we don't usually, it's rare that you rise to the level of your goals. You often fall to the level of your training. And so, I think about like the Navy SEALs, right? When things get stressful, they have done the same thing over and over and over again so that their muscle memory kicks in and they're going to perform at a high level. And so I feel like now we actually just added 2 extra training sessions for our team every week, because I feel like now more than any other time in my team's history, at least, raising the level of our training, raising the level of being with other people that are doing stuff at a high level is just more important than ever before, because we will fall to the level of our training and our coaching.
Yep.
That's fantastic, Chris. Thank you. So for those of you that this is not your first economic shift in the marketplace, and maybe Sven, we'll kick it up to you here. So how do you see the current challenges in our marketplace? How do you see that they differ from any challenges in the past? And that could be economic, or it could be situational, or something that could be just a challenge that maybe you've encountered in your business. What do you see that's different today than then? And what was it then that was the challenge?
So previous to this, back in 2011, 2012, when I joined, there was a lot more fear around making purchases. And I think that, the housing market itself was in a low confidence period. Right now, I don't think that's happening. I just think that there's just a lot of uncertainty about how the future economic impact of small businesses and the stock market, for those that are trying to use the stock market for cash to close and that kind of stuff, there's some of those sort of situations that are affected. But according to, the level of activity and the people that I've spoken to, their level of confidence in purchasing right now isn't changing or hasn't changed. Whereas when I came in before, very few people were excited about really taking that next step. There's a lot of trepidation and, a lot of foreclosures, a lot of short sales. That might be one of the future challenges, is foreclosures and short sales going up, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months down the road because of the economic hardship right now. So that might come around later on as it relates to this.
So you're acknowledging where we are in the moment and then anticipating where we may be in the medium future. Is that
right?
What I understand?
Yeah.
Got it. Dilara, I'd love to hear your perspective, as certainly you've lived through some downtimes economically, and you weren't in at least the real estate sales business during the last time. So I'm going to ask you a slightly different question. What's your concerns?
To be honest, I don't have many right now. None of my clients have stepped back. None of them have actually said like, hey, is this a good time to buy? Like, nobody's actually questioning whether they should purchase right now or not. It's more of like, hey, when can we get in and actually see homes? In 2008, I lived in Washington State, and it was much different than what it was here in this market. And it's actually one of the reasons why I got into this market. Was parents have been trying to get me into real estate forever. And I just remember that time in Washington where, people's home prices went down by 40 to 50%. And then I come out here and know the average, is not that. So I felt more comfortable with the decision. And I actually explained that to my clients a lot. Like, we are not like the rest of the nation. And I just reiterate that, and it gives them comfort too. So
Dilara, it seems like, I know that you are such a high touch, service oriented person that really advocates for your clients and have a really close relationship with your clients. So it seems from what I'm hearing you say and how I know you to be, is that relationship has really been a key to people trusting you and being confident in your leadership. Is that accurate?
Yeah, really just transparency, right? I always tell people from the beginning, like, obviously I want to make you happy, but like, if we walk into a home and I'm not comfortable selling it to you, I won't do it. So it's one of those situations. So I grab their honest, their trust at the beginning. And so when we have times like this, I'm making my phone calls every day to my people, or texting them, reaching out over Facebook, and just seeing how they're feeling about it. And nobody yet has said like, hey, maybe we should wait or something like that. Right now, it's really just because of military orders that we're seeing people hold off.
Got it. And for those of you that are watching online, and please keep sharing your questions. There's going to be a little bit of a time at the end of our conversation. I'm going to have plenty of time open, and I'm going to read through your questions, and we'll make sure that those get answered. So keep them coming. I'm not necessarily going to stop at the moment to read your questions, but I'm going to promise you that we get through every one of your questions. Okay. All right. So please keep them coming. So Rob, how do you see that this market differs than the last economic crisis that you went through? Because I know you were in business. That's sort of how I first met you. Was every time I got beat from a short sale, it was probably Rob Chevez.
I remember one specifically. Remember that one that actually you beat us? It had a bunker in the backyard. Do you remember that? There was a bunker in the backyard.
Yeah, Rob, to give a little bit more context, what type of home was that?
It was a townhouse.
Come on.
Dude, it was a townhouse, and it had like this like little enclosed patio, and this person had dug down and built a fortified bunker right in this house.
A prepper in a townhouse. That's crazy.
It was bizarre.
Right down the street from where I live, too. But yes, I do remember that listing, Rob. So tell us, so how's this different than the last time?
You already know 87% of all real estate agents fail in this business. And you also know it doesn't have to be that way. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for consistent and predictable income, I invite for you to get your free copy of Real Estate Evolution, the 10-step guide to C.P.I, consistent and predictable income for real estate agents. And you can do so when you visit www.therealestateevolution.com. I'll share with you your book that I authored to show you the way. And it's free. You just have to pay for the shipping. Thanks.
So this is impacting everybody. Everybody. That wasn't the case before, right? Everybody is being impacted. This is completely unprecedented, right? And so, there's going to be so much trickle down that you have to be thinking about, like, what are all the trickle down effects that are going to occur because of this. And by the way, there's opportunity in all of that. You need to understand, we all need to understand where the business is going, where it's flowing, where the opportunity is. During the last downturn, a lot of people were impacted because they got into bad loans, right? They got into bad loans. There was a lot of adjustable rate mortgages. A lot of loans were ballooning. Equity lines got pulled. And that created a catastrophe for a big segment of the population. And on the agent side of the business, REO agents and short sale agents learned how to shift during that time, and they crushed it, right? So there was opportunity that was there for those that adjusted quickly. Right now, it's the analogy that I'm giving everybody is that my small business owner friends, the cards are being dealt, like the deck is being scrambled right now. And we don't know how it's all going, what cards we're going to get, but we got to be ready for the cards that we get dealt. And then we got to start adjusting as quickly as possible to that. So there's always opportunity when cards are redealt, and know that the biggest transfer of wealth normally occurs during times like these. So it's, this is affecting everybody, which was different than last time. So long answer to your question. Sorry about that.
It's a very insightful answer, and I love the deck of cards analogy as well. I think that's probably the most insightful analogy that I've heard. Excuse me, in regards to we don't know what the hand's going to be dealt. We just know it's being dealt right now. That's fantastic. Yeah. Chris, what about you? So tell us how this. What do you see today differently than the last economic challenge?
Well, I mean, I wrote this down this morning. There were two things. Every morning. Well, there's a couple things. One, I mean, in order to win, we've got to keep our minds straight, right? Because I'll tell you, first thing, I'll just share this. So, be vulnerable here. I guess it was like a week and a half ago. It was like 11:30 at night, and I started thinking, our overhead is anywhere between 90 and about 120,000 a month, anywhere in that range. And now we've cut almost everything we can. Well, I mean, there's more that we could start looking at, but we started cutting big time. But I had this massive freak out moment where I just started thinking of all the reasons why things could go bad. And you realize that I had spent more time reading the news that day than I had probably spent reading the news in the last 3 months. And the news, they make money on fear, right? Like that's what they do. Like they make money doing that. And so I immediately like I got to the point where I started remembering some of the hardest times that I've been through in my life, and I'm still standing. I'm still here, right? So I started doing that first. So that's the first thing, to make it through and to be on the winning side of this, because this is when fortunes are won or fortunes are lost. In order to be on the winning side of this, we got to keep our heads straight. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing, I stopped watching news in the morning and I limited my time on the news. I'm 15 minutes to just do a check-in, and that's it. Like that is it. I do not want to spend any more time. My wife will come and tell me things, and I'm like where people are shutting down or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing the next right thing right now. I'll figure it out in my 15 minutes and then I'll adjust from there. I don't want to hear updates on it. Like, I just want to do my next right thing. But this is what I wrote down this morning on my little terrible Yahtzee sheet when I was working out. I found something. Every problem is also an opportunity for somebody else, right? Every problem is an opportunity. And, tough times don't last, tough people do. So that's the whole thing. And right now, there are going to be a lot of people that have a lot of problems. And if we can figure out how to solve them, we're going to become very, very, very wealthy people, because the people that solve other people's problems are the ones that make the most money. So that's the way I'm looking at this, versus like all of the, in 2008 in the shutdown, I've got so many friends that made fortunes. And I've also got a lot of friends that have lost fortunes during that time. And what I'm just seeing is the ones that made fortunes were the ones that saw where pain and problems were happening and said, I am going to solve these problems. I'm going to be a fixer. I'm going to be proactive. And those are the ones that won, in this business, out of this business, all over the place. So long-winded answer. Sorry for that.
Fantastic. So this is the time, once we get past the next, short period of time, that's going to be the time where there's going to be an opportunity to help a lot of people solve their pain and solve their problems. And those of us that figure out how to do that are going to thrive. So I love that, Chris. Thank you. So then what about, what would you say would be the worst thing that a real estate agent or a business owner, what's the worst thing that they could do today?
I would say that just staying frozen, staying inactive, and seeing what happens, right? I think that it's really important to look up and take inaction and get some momentum going. And whether that's just talking to somebody in your sphere, or that's talking to somebody who, has expressed an interest in the past, or somebody who is a past client, or even just some of the people in your community who are business owners, and see what it is they're going through and how you can help, how you can add value. Continue to stay in the knowledge, broker type of business where you're just helping people understand how to make sense of the different points of data regarding the mortgages, regarding the can get. There's a need for that. I just think it's really important to be in action, doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and not putting your head in the sand. It's a challenging time for us all, and we're all going to rise together.
And I'm seeing a theme to this discussion today about taking action, and I'll have to go and watch Frozen 2 this afternoon with my daughter. So that's something there. Dilara, what about you? What would you say is the worst thing that a business owner or a real estate agent could do today?
In line with what Sven said, like taking your foot off of the gas pedal, like just stalling, because, we talk about a lot of, success leaves clues, and a lot of big agents have always said, I double my activities when stuff starts hitting the fan, and making sure that you're still in the game. It's hard, especially being quarantined. I mean, I have a 4-year-old, a husband who's teleworking. Like, I just want to sit on the couch and not do anything. But, I'm still waking up in the morning and getting my stuff done. The other thing is probably spending money where you shouldn't be spending money. A lot of people have been talking about buying leads and stuff because they're worried about how they're going to be doing business. And I think that would be a huge mistake for anybody.
That's great advice. Thank you, Dilara. Rob, worst thing that we can do right now?
Yeah, I echo what everybody says. not cutting expenses. So you should be cutting expenses, both personal and house and business. So if you're not doing that, like that's a mistake. You can feel busy, but not be productive, right? So focus on the 20% that actually gets us paid, which is it's a contact sport, making sure that you're hitting your activity and your numbers. So I've got to remind myself. Sorry, that's my dog.
That's okay.
I got to remind. Hey man, this is a new reality. This is.
Yeah, can you tell your coworkers to shut up?
I know.
Keep it down over there, damn it.
You can get caught up in thinking that you had a productive day. I've always had this conversation with people on my team. You think you've had a productive day, and I'll ask a simple question. I'll just say, well, how many people did you actually connect with today?
Yeah.
Was it 2? Was it 5? Was it 10? Was it 20? Was it 30? And the person that's consistently going to hit 20 or more is going to blow through this thing.
Yeah.
But if you're only at 5, it's not going to be enough. If you're at 10, it's not going to be enough anymore. 10 might have been enough before, right? But not now. And so just having literally a way that you can, a little clicker, and just say, okay, talk to another person in my sphere, click, talk to another one, click, talk to another, and not end the day until you've done your 20 or your 30, whatever the number is for you, right? So activity. I got to remind myself of that personally, because you can get caught up in like rebalancing things and fixing things and talking to, you can be caught up in busy stuff that isn't going to move you forward. So you got to be careful.
Just get into action. And that reminds me of what Chris said earlier about the muscle memory. So for those of us that having 20 conversations about real estate a day have already been doing that, you just go from the muscle memory and maybe increase it to 25 or 30. For those that would be fortunate to have 5 conversations, then you may not have the muscle memory. So you're gonna have to dive off the high dive. You're gonna have to dive off, and you're gonna have to take a huge leap, and and find somebody, accountability partner, whatever it may be, to be able to get you into high activity. Chris, what would you say would be the worst thing that someone could do right now, an agent or a business owner?
I mean, the worst thing is not doing anything. I mean, I'll tell you what. I'll give you my, when I was in probably the worst predicament of my life, there was a YouTube video that I came across. It's called Art Williams, Just Do It. My team will probably roll their eyes. I've made them watch it 5,000 times. I've got it memorized. It's 18 minutes from the early 80s. It's so cheesy, but it's so powerful. And the whole premise is just do it. Whatever you have to do, just do it. And he's like, goes into this like string of things. He's like, just do it. He's like, but people will say houses aren't selling. Do it anyway. It just doesn't.
Yes, you gotta give us a southern drawl when you do that, please.
Exactly. Do it and do it and do it again. But that's I'm sorry, a terrible accent. But but that's the whole thing. And so I would just say this. There's 2 ways that people, it's fight or flight, right? My natural inclination, anybody knows me, knows my natural inclination is to fight, right? Like I'm like ready to go. But here's the problem. You look at your natural inclination. If it's flight, then get into the game and do it, because you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your business. Honestly, you're not being a good American either, because this is part of being patriotic, is to keep our economy going. And I don't use that lightly. Like, that is part of being a good American, is to keep our economy going. The second thing is, if your natural inclination is fight, which is mine, it's just to go move and do something. And one of the things, again, I'm getting a lot more focused and a lot more better at what I've been doing recently. And one of the things that I've literally written down so many times is, don't do more, do more of what matters. And I think that's the biggest thing that's like so important right now, is for those that are like fight people, like, man, I got to do something. My back's up against the wall. Keep this train rolling. it's not just about activity, it's about the right activity. And so make sure that you spend some time making sure that you're doing more of what matters. And I'm fighting that battle every day.
To do more than what matters. And for those that are watching on Facebook, keep your questions coming. I promise you that we're going to allocate some time to answer all those questions. Just keep them coming. So if you're just tuned into this recently, I just want to remind you that we are absolutely going to answer every single one of your questions. So keep them coming. So Chris, let's transition into the next question, because I think you left us off there with sort of a natural transition. So we talked about what's the worst thing somebody can do. What's the best thing that a business owner or a real estate agent? So you say doing the right thing. What is that?
Yeah, so I think it depends on where you are in your business. If you're doing less than, say, 20 deals a year, frankly, is it all right if I'm a little bit blunt right now?
Please, sir, please.
If you're doing less than 20 deals a year, you're already not talking to enough people, and now it's going to be harder. And you're going to need to just talk to a lot more people. So if that's where you're at, less than 20, you need to talk to a whole heck of a lot more people than you've been talking to. And don't lead off by saying, hey, you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, because that's a way to get hung up on or to lose friends. So that's the first thing.
Chris, hold on one second. What would you say? Excuse me. What would you say instead of that?
You call and ask. So I'm always about give more than you receive, right? Give more than you receive. So I'm always about give somebody a call, ask how they're doing. I've been a pastor for a long time. So a lot of my friends, I'll ask them how I can pray for them, because people are going through some rough emotional times. Because that's what the question I used to ask years ago for years and years. So I'll ask them that. Just ask how you can care for them. If they're elderly, ask if you can go to the store for them and get anything. Do whatever you can do to serve. You always want to give more than you get. And then you can bring up real estate. Real estate will come up, and you can bring it up and talk about it and just say, hey, I'm grinding like crazy. Obviously, things are weird right now, but I want to make sure that I'm keeping food on my table. So if you know anybody, it would mean a lot to me if you wouldn't mind keeping me in mind. Boom.
Give first, and then when it's appropriate, if it's appropriate, ask second. Would you agree with that?
Always give more than you take. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
So, and then if you're doing more than 20 deals, so for me, one of the things that I've got a big sign in my office. Are you in your genius zone? Because it's so easy to live in that 80% versus the 20% if you're familiar with the Pareto principle. And so for me, I'm looking at that all the time. What is my genius zone? Am I adding value to my agents? Because my agents are also my client. If you have a team, you need to add value to your agents. Are you helping them? Are you doing things that are going to provide more leads for the team? We went back, actually, Rob and I had this conversation the other night. And I'll throw this out too. I'll talk to Rob. I have a couple other friends that are high producers. Talk to other people, mastermind with friends, because you're going to learn a lot from that. And in this business, now is the time that slight edge is going to help you win. But I was talking to Rob about this. We set 7 appointments last week by just taking old leads that we had and said to all of our agents, you're going to go through these leads. If you don't have much stuff, you're going to go through these leads and just ring out 80 appointments we can get from these leads. We're going to go through these. And so they set 7 appointments from that. So, those are the things there that you're looking at. If you're a business leader, you got to figure out, spend time cutting expenses. Rob already hit on that. You got to cut expenses. You got to do the things to make sure that you can keep the lights on if we are at a reduced state of production for a while. But yeah, if you're doing less than 20 deals, talk to more people. Doing more than 20 deals, figure out how you can serve your agents, serve the people around you, and bring in business for people, because people still have to buy and sell even in the midst of this.
Love it, Chris. Thank you for your sharing your wisdom. Dilara, what's the best thing you can do as a real estate agent or as a business owner today?
We were just talking about that this morning, being human with your sphere. This isn't a time to call and ask for referrals. It's a time to actually care about people. So last week I called and a past client of mine who is getting ready to have a baby. And so I just got on Amazon real quick, sent her a cute little I'm sassy onesie for her baby girl. And she just got it in the mail. And is super thrilled about it. It's something that put, a spotlight in her day. She's been in her house for the last 9 days because she's pregnant and she can't go out to expose herself. So, but being human, my mentor, Drew said it, our PC coach, our team leader, I mean, Eric Quadros and Sheila, they've been talking about just being human with people. So I feel like that would be the best thing to do as of right now with the people that you're already connected with, and asking if anyone they know needs help too. So
yeah, so it's great. Just be human. I'm seeing and I know that each one of you will. First of all, I base my relationship based off of people that are givers, and so I know each one of you as a giver. And some of you I know much better than others, yet I know each one of you as a giver, right? And so that's another consistent theme that I see here today as well. So I'm just loving hearing that. Go ahead, Dilara.
They were saying these are the people who, even if they don't have anything to give right now, when they do have something to give, they're going to be the first to give to you, because in a time of need, you gave to them, even though they didn't have anything to give to you. And, so.
Yeah. And I know that we're not looking for like a tit for tat. There is a law of reciprocity. And just like, when you give more and when you give more and when you give more, you get something in return, right? And we're not necessarily saying, hey, look for it directly, but it will be there. Would you agree with that, Dilara?
I recently wrote the book, Real Estate Evolution, the 10-Step Guide to C.P.I, Consistent and Predictable Income for Real Estate Agents. I wrote this book because I have sold real estate since 2007 and developed an immense amount of experience and knowledge. During my journey, I've witnessed hundreds and maybe even thousands of real estate agents fail in this business, and I firmly believe that that's a shame. In Real Estate Evolution, I will show you the exact steps that I have used as a real estate salesperson to sell 1 to 15 homes every single month for the past 129 consecutive months. It took me more than 2 decades to learn the sales and persuasion techniques, and more than 1 decade to master the real estate sales techniques to be able to produce the content that makes up this book. And it took me more than a year to write at a pace of 3 hours every single day. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for consistent and predictable income in your business, I invite you to get the book, Real Estate Evolution. And you could get that by visiting www.therealestateevolution.com. And I'll even give it to you for free as long as you pay for the postage.
Absolutely.
Sven, what's the best
Well,
thing
one
you
of
can
the
do?
things, I'm going to echo what everyone says, but one of the things I can add on to it is to send video, right? Send a bomb or some version of a face-to-face that you can't have with the people. So you can actually share your compassion in voice and emotion and, just be in front of them. So, I mean, on top of being, of service and in service to people, doing it with different mediums, because, you never know when somebody will need to hear it or hear it in a certain way. And so just, doing it differently for different people.
So you're adapting to the scenario, being smart about the way that you're communicating and just not giving a phone call, because within a hierarchy of communication, face-to-face, which is not possible today, it's the highest level of communication, and then followed by that would be what we're doing right now, video.
Yeah. It just really shows you care.
Absolutely.
As you take different action. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows that you care and take different action. I love it, Sven. Thank you. Rob.
Yes, sir.
What's the best thing I can do today?
Man, I think everybody's echoed it, right? I think Chris echoed it. It's just like, do more of what matters. Do more of what matters. Like, I wrote that down, Chris. I'm like, underline. So valuable, right? So you got to get really clear on what matters. And we've been making those calls where we've just called and said, how can we help? We've got resources, we got people, we got energy, we got positivity. We like, how can we help you? Do you need us to deliver anything? Do you need us to pick up anything? How can we help, right? How can we serve? And those have been our calls.
Love it, man.
Yeah. So to beat a dead horse. I think that's do more of what matters and come from contribution.
Do more than what matters. Okay. I'm going to ask one question, and then we're going to jump into the audience's questions. So one final question here, and it's going to be a little bit more of an expansive question. And so I'll say the question first, and this is going to be for you, Sven, to start us off with. Excuse me. So over the horizon. So right now it's like do more that matters. Do the right thing. Don't be frozen. Listen to Elsa. Like that's where we are right now, right? Did I get that right with Elsa? I hope so. All right, so that's where we are right now. Over the horizon, what do you anticipate will happen in our marketplace over the horizon? And what are you doing today to be able to prepare yourself for that, whatever it is over the horizon?
So the pivot, I guess, is to, double down on the activities, number one. And number two, again, having and being more compassionate towards, the folks that are affected by this and just learning who they are so I can, again, be more attentive to whatever situation they're in the future. I think that, we don't know what's going to come down the pike, but we can certainly stay in the action of keeping in touch with people that, care about us and are interested in doing business or have done business with us to really just learn how to serve and just continue to be of service to those people. I mean, we don't know how things are going to change, but we do know that there are some people that are going through some really terrible times, and being able to have compassion and know that we're not going to turn our back on them in the future, even if they can't transact.
So be of service. Thank you, Sven. That's and again, another common theme that I'm hearing. Rob, what do you see over the horizon? What do you see this next? And what are you doing to prepare for it? What opportunities, if any, do you see that's next specifically?
I believe that there's going to be a lot of people that might go through bankruptcy, foreclosure. I think that market, we're going to see some of that again, and it's an opportunity to help people through that, guide them through that, be hope through that. And so I'm developing strategic relationships around that right now. And I'm doubling my efforts on activity. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the card is being dealt. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that with this infusion of cash that we get, that I'm wrong. And I'm still preparing for that in case I'm not wrong. I want to make sure that I put myself in a situation or business in a situation where we could serve and help those people. A lot of what I did in the past for that was blogging. I run a blog, Virginia Short Sale Advice. I haven't been as active in that blog as I have been in years past. Probably get active again there, right? I suspect that credit agencies, credit repair companies are going to have an uptick in business through this. And so what relationships could I form there? What relationships could I form with non-for-profits? How can I just say, I'm here to help? I have a skill set. My skill set is a skill set that can guide people through this process. I've done it before. I understand real estate from a 360 standpoint, not just a 180, and I can help. And so developing the thinking and the strategy around that so we can pivot if we need to. But other than that, the plan stays the same. Like the discussion I had with my team was, we're not changing the plan. Like the plan is the same. We go deep in communities, we pour into our database, we go pour into our community, and we serve them at a high level. The only thing that changes is the marketing message. The message changes, the plan doesn't change. So the people that actually have a database right now, this is why like a database matters. Those relationships that you have matter, right? If you haven't been staying in touch with your database this whole time, this is a great opportunity to jump back in and start talking to those people and just saying, how can I help? What can I do? It's an opportunity for you to be able to do it if you haven't done it, right? And this is why it's so important to continue doing that, to always do that, to have a large database that you just pour into people. And so the plan doesn't change. The level of intensity changes with some slight pivots on where energy and money might be flowing, opportunity might be flowing. That's it.
So the plan stays the same. We just may adjust a little bit about who we're communicating to, and we're going to get more intense, more intentional.
Yeah, more intentional.
Yeah.
Do more of what matters.
Do more of what matters. Dilara.
Yes.
What do you see over the horizon? Where do you see us 3-4 months from now?
I've been thinking about this. Like I went through, because I'm a newer agent, so I went through the motions of now going through a possible recession and a different market than what I've been used to for the last year. Really, I mean, I'm taking as a learning experience, as an opportunity to build my business as well. So I might not see it right now, but a year or 2 years from now, like, you know, we'll have all these referrals flowing in. That's just my mindset. So taking this as an opportunity to really dive in and see how many people I can connect with and really be there for them so that I have that in the future, as well as not being frozen. Like, you know, a lot of agents who are in the position that I'm in will get out because they, one, didn't listen to people who told them to save money before you started spending it. So when I first started, I saved before I gave myself any profit for 12 months, 12 months worth of savings before I gave myself any profit. So that way, in a market like this, if I wasn't closing anything, which I still am, but if I wasn't closing anything, I would still have something to, you know, be set up for. My admin salary is saved up, everything's saved up. So I'm still in a good standing. I have 3 closings this month. You know, I just signed 3 new contracts. But on the other side of this, as long as you put your foot on the gas, get going, you know, buckle down, don't spend as much, you're going to be fine. It's when people start, what Steve says, getting distracted by the shiny objects and stuff, start spending money where they're not supposed to be spending money, and they're going to have a little bit more of a problem. But building up my database to where a year from now, I'm just going to be busy as all can be.
And you referenced Steve. Who's that?
Sorry?
You referenced Steve.
Oh, Steve Gaskins.
I knew that, but I figured millions of other people watching you right now may not have known that.
Yeah, my broker, Steve Gaskins, first thing he said is don't get distracted by the shiny objects. So I've taken that to heart.
And Dilara, before I move on to Chris, I want to just mention to you, where you are right now in your business is where Rob and I were in our businesses 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Would you say that's right, Rob? I think Chris as well. I don't know Chris as well. Is that true for you as well, Chris?
No, I was in a different business at the time.
All right. So Rob and I were in those shoes 13 years ago, exactly where you are right now.
Yeah.
And
I think it's okay to be scared. Like, there's nothing wrong with being scared. It's just how you deal with it. So, like, my husband keeps reiterating to me, like, babe, you're doing fine. It's going to be okay, you know, and I have to remind myself, and reaching out to other people who are still doing business at a high level and were in the business when all these recessions happen has been a huge thing for me. To reach out and ask is one thing I would say to do if you're scared.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's really meaningful for me to hear that from you. Thank you. Chris, what do you see over the horizon? What do you see next? What are you doing to prepare for it?
Well, one of the main things, I mentioned this before, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, he who walks with the wise grows wise. And so I'm straight up trying to spend a lot of time with people that are just other smart people in this industry and learn from them. And I'm on a lot of webinars, a lot of things, just learning from other people, even being on this stuff, hearing from other great people like you guys. It's just helpful. I was on one yesterday in a mastermind that I'm a part of, where they were all just talking about the importance of stockpiling cash and finding investors and finding other people, because we don't know what's going to happen, but indicators are that there's going to be a lot of people looking to offload a lot of properties, especially if the economy's, hard. People get rid of second properties, luxury, vacation properties, whatever, look to get any equity they can to do that. So, I'm looking to find other people that know people with lots of cash that are looking for opportunities, and just kind of just build some stuff together like that. So for me personally, I'm saying, how can I spend time with other people that are thinking next level, playing offense and not defense, thinking, chess, what are the 3 steps ahead, not just checkers, next right step, although I'm contradicting Frozen 2, right? But what are those steps there to be ready for it? And then 2, just really trying to stockpile cash, be ready for anything negative, but also any opportunity, because again, I've said this before, I said it even on this call, but this is when fortunes are made or fortunes are lost. And I fully intend to do everything I can to be on the fortunes made side.
God bless. Yes, sir. All right, so got a few questions from our listeners, and if you're on Facebook right now, you want to ask one of these awesome people anything at all, whether about a situation or even anything in general, please feel free to do so. And I cannot see who's asking this. I'm going to run down these questions, and I'm going to throw them out to the group, and just whoever wants to jump out there, go ahead and answer the questions. So the first question that we have is: have you seen a substantial decrease in showings for your listings? And if so, how are you addressing this with your clients?
I'll jump in right now. So our listings are still going under contract really fast. Last night, I talked to our top buyer agent, and she literally put 2 offers in yesterday and lost both of them, where there were 4 offers. She was one of 4 offers on both of them where she lost both of them. And she doesn't lose very often. So these offers were crazy good for 2 of them. So it was a kind of a painful night, but it also says, man, there's no inventory and people are still buying.
Thank you, Chris. Next question. As a buyer, should I wait to buy my house for the next 6 months? What would your advice be to buyers? So I'm assuming that means if a buyer asks you, should I wait to buy for another 6 months, what would you say to them?
So I've had that conversation with people just in general, and I always tell them, like, unless you're planning on selling your home tomorrow, there's really no reason to hold off on purchasing. I mean, interest rates are still low. Why? And then I always turn it around as an open-ended question and just ask them, what would make you think that you should buy 6 months from now?
Great. So you guide them through asking questions. That's great, Dilara. What do you think may happen with interest rates?
Well, this week specifically, I mean, we've been updated by our lenders that because of the high, what do they call it? Not default, but where they go into forbearance. There's a lot of requests for forbearance. That there's the Fannie and Freddie Mac changes that are going to go into, problematic credit profiles, I guess, or higher risk credit profiles. So there's going to be a lot of changes regarding that, where it may not make sense to try to buy anymore if you're in that category, because the interest rates are going to be so high for those kinds of products. As far as the general, good credit, conventional or FHA products, that's fluctuating by the hour from what I gather.
Yeah. Yeah. Within, you're seeing in a day's time, a fluctuation that would normally take a year's time.
Yeah.
What, this is for Chris. Who was the Just Do It guy? Remind us who the Just Do It. Just Do It.
Yeah. Art Williams. And it was like 1983. He was speaking to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention about winning in business. It's not a religious, a religious speech. It's about winning in business, but it's insanely cheesy, but I'll tell you, it is the most glorious, amazing, powerful 18 minutes you'll ever watch.
Yes. And it's been reverberating in my head for the last 27 minutes. Thank you very much, sir. may also want to talk with your lenders and find out how this is affecting the products. That's not necessarily a question, so that's an advice. So thank you for that advice. And there are some a nice little shout out with hearts for Dilara. I noticed none of us gentlemen got any shout outs with hearts for us, but that's a pass that along to you, Dilara. And the final question, we're right on time. Do you think that the short sale or foreclosure market will increase?
Yes.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things to do, and Jason Abrams says it all the time, every time you hear him talk, is building your bench. Like, who can you bring onto your bench that's going to provide you with the business that you need in the future? So if you're reaching out to those people who deal with those situations, you're just building your bench. So, yeah. I mean, he even talked about divorce attorneys, like people are going to be in financial, situations where it's going to be hard on their marriage, anything like that too. I mean, he kind of opened my eyes to really getting people on my bench to help provide me through the hard times too. So. Yeah,
it's looking here and it's looking here and looking here.
Exactly.
Right. Lady and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate each one of you. And tell us how we can get in touch with you. If anybody wants to reach out to you. Dilara, how can we get in touch with you?
Easiest way to get in touch with me is via Facebook. I do most of my business on Facebook, so I'm on there almost all day. Or you can call me too, which is 425-941-2428.
We'll put those in the show notes. Sven, how can we get in touch with you?
My email, sven@searchdcareahomes.com, or cell phone 314-803-2406.
Thank you, Sven. Chris?
My website, chriscraddock.com. And I have, if anybody's interested, I have a reading list on there that you can sign up for free. Just reading list. I think any business owner should read. So feel free to do that, or, on Facebook or wherever, reach out. I always want to be insanely generous with my time. Just like I'll tell you, I'll give a shout out to my boy, Rob here. When I was just getting started in this thing, Rob will tell you, I kept grabbing him and asking him questions all the time. And, honestly, that's people like Rob and some other really, great thinkers in this business were so generous with me. I try to be generous with other people too.
Love it. Rob, final thoughts. Well, not final thoughts. How can we get in touch with you? Those are your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Facebook. Facebook or Instagram. Rob Chevez.
Instagram. We'll have to do another podcast on that at some point. You got to tell me what Instagram is. Thank you again, guys. Love you and appreciate your time today.
Give us a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to Get Rock Solid Coaching Channel and stay ahead of the game.